Okay, so in this section entitled Where Do I Begin? What I want to talk through is a collection of strategies for defining functional programs in Erlang, but in fact they work for any sort of functional programming language. What I'll do is work through some practical examples, but also you'll work through them as well. You have a try, then I'll work through some examples. Okay, so let's get started. So the first function I want to look at is called the take function. It takes the first n elements from a list, so it takes two arguments, a number, an integer, and a list of elements, and what we get back is a list of elements, the first n of the list. So for example, if we take 0 from a list, we get the empty list, and you can see if we take 4 from hello, we get the string hell. Remember that strings are just examples of lists. If we take 5 from hello, we get hello, and we've chosen to say that if we take 9 from hello, we can't get 9 elements, but we can get as many as we can, which in this case is 5. So whatever integer you pass in, you will get back either an initial segment of the list or the whole list itself. So those are some examples of what we want the function to do. The other thing we can do, Erlang allows us to write specifications of the types of functions. And those are directives that begin with -spec. And what we see then is something that looks like a function application, but instead of there being arguments there are types. And what this says is the function take has two arguments, there are two spaces. The first argument is integer, the second argument is a list of something, and it returns a list of that something. So this begins to tell us that we have a more sophisticated language of types and so on than perhaps we'd thought. We'll talk more about this towards the end of this week. But just to let you know, one of the things we can always do when we've got a problem is let's think, either write it down formally as a spec or at least informally, think what the type of a function is. And here we're saying it has two arguments. The first is an integer, the second is a list, and it returns a list, which is related to the input list. Now, if we want to define this function for ourselves, we've got integers involved. We have a template for those. We say give the case at 0 and then give the case for n in terms of the case at n-1. And also we have a template for lists. We say what to do at the empty list and then what to do at x cons x's in terms of what to do at x's. So we've got to think about how we're going to work with those, and let's stop here and give you 5 minutes or so to think about how you might make a definition, and then we'll come back and I'll work through a solution. Okay, so over to you for 5 minutes or so, and then time to go on to activity 2.2.3.